Hello, all viewers. Welcome to the fourth World 10 Countries Chess Team Battle. We are live on YouTube, and this is the Khelo Chess India YouTube channel. We are trying to cover more games here. Let's check one of the top games. This is between Coach Rola Biglas and Atom Rod. Okay, so these two, one of the players is from the Coach Rola Biglas is from Philippines, and we have Atom Rod from English Chess Players. So let's check his game. What's happening in the opening? So d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, pawn to c4, bishop b4 check, knight to d2, and then pawn to d5, pawn takes, and pawn to g3. So fianchetto is what white is trying to do over here, getting a castle on the king side. And probably black will play a safer game with c6, trying to establish this pawn structure, which is a uh, you can say the part of the Carlsbad pawn structure that you need to study. So we have bishop g2, rook to e8, castles and pawn to c6, pawn to a3, bishop goes back to d6, and now we have pawn to b4, pawn to a6, knight to bishop to b2, and bishop to f5, knight to b3. I can see a comment from Mayank. Hello Mayank, hope you are doing well. Knight d7, knight to c5, going to c8, and then we have rook to c1, knight to b6, knight to d2, and rook to e7, rook to e1. This e2 pawn is now one of our targets. Probably e3 is going to be played sometime soon in this game, and white actually should try to play more on the queen side. Probably queen can go to b3, pawn to a4, and then for the b5 break, trying to create some minority attack on the queen side. So queen e8 was played, pawn to e3, rook to d8, and queen to b3. Yeah, queen to b3 has been played now, pawn to h5. So black has to try and play on the king side in this pawn structure. Pawn to h4, queen to f8, and pawn to a4. Rook to e8, and then pawn to b5. This is called as the minority attack. So I can see a comment from Sunil. Hi Sunil, hope you are doing well. I also have comment from Subhash. Hi Subhash, hope you are doing well as well. So I hope you guys are also playing this tournament. This is a nice tournament. We have very good high rated players. You can see the rating 2500 and 2300. Top players playing from most of the teams. So you should try this playing in this tournament. You will get a good chance to play against a very high rated players. So we have knight to c4 now. This knight just moved to f3, just making this vacating this control of the c4 square for this knight. Immediately black tries to put the knight on c4 and get a good position here. Both knights are nicely placed. And if so here black should not. So all the beginners out there or the intermediate players, it was a draw, but let's yeah, this was the position in c4. So here actually white is trying to save the bishop by playing bishop to a1, but bishop here is not the best of the pieces that white is having right now, because it's just all these pawns which are in the dark squares, and this bishop if exchanged with the knight, probably queen can capture back with the whack, and he white might get rid of the bad bishop there. So yeah, let's see what happened in the game. Bishop a1 was played, pawn to b6, knight to a4, then bishop to b4, and rook to d1, knight to e4, and knight to e5. So this exchange on e5 is actually something both players have some tactics on this exchange, because the the pawn comes on e5, it becomes vulnerable, but at the same time the d5 pawn is also becoming a target for white, which white can attack in the open fight. So d takes knight takes c5, d takes c5, and knight to c4 was played here, attacking the queen and this knight. So knight takes c4, bishop takes c4, and bishop takes d5. So a free pawn there for white, and bishop e6, bishop e6, e6, and bishop to d4. Rook to c8, bishop takes c5, rook takes c5, and pawn to f4. So white is just trying to protect all these pawns here, but there are some weaknesses created. But if you look at the position, there is no way that these weaknesses can be exploited by black, because all of the pieces blacks, they are placed in such a way that they cannot come on the third rank to attack this uh, pawn right away. There is rook g6 available, of course, but I think rook g6 is a simple move of king e3, e f2, and there is nothing thereafter. So rook e8 was played, and after rook e8 we have rook takes e8, queen takes c5, and now rook to d5. Queen c1 check is available, and that is what was played in the game. So queen c1 check, and we have rook to d1, then we have queen to c5, and then the repetition of the moves leading to a draw out there. So well fought game by both the players, and especially the GM Atom Rod to at least draw with a high rated player of around 150 points more than himself. So let's go back to tournament, guys, and check the next top game. Let's try to find out a game from Khelo Chess India. We have Ganesh playing from Khelo Chess India. So okay, do we have any? Okay, so let's try to find this game, and okay. I see a comment from Mayank about a Telegram channel. Yes, Telegram channel we are going to start very soon, and that we details will be sharing very soon. Actually, we as will still have to set up, and then we will share the details with you. So e4 c6, d4 d5, pawn to e5, pawn to c5. So this is kind of a delayed French out there when you invite white to play e5 with the e6, that is called as a French defense advanced variation. But here after c5 you do have the option of taking the bishop away and bishop out, and then probably pushing the pawn. So it puts you in a better position as compared to what you get in the actual French defense. So, but of course, white black is wasting a move here of c6 and c5. So we can't say that this is the best way to play, but let's see. We have to enjoy this game. So pawn to c3, knight to c6, knight to f3, pawn takes d4, pawn takes d4, and bishop to f5. So this is a critical move because it makes sure that this bishop is not dead on c8 as we have in the French defense. Now the e6 will just put this bishop on a better square on g6 as compared to c8. Of course, this b7 and d7 squares are weak, but that's okay. I think black can survive with them. So we have bishop to d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, and pawn to e6. We have pawn to a3, knight to e7, pawn to b4, pawn to a6, knight to c3, knight to f5, and castles. Then we have pawn to b5. So bishop to d3. So now look at this position. This is the position that we always get in French defense, or not always, but most of the times. And without this bishop, why black is happier without this black's light squared bad bishop. So let's play ahead. We have rook to c8, and then we have rook to c1, immediately challenging the rook out there. Knight takes e3, queen takes e3, and bishop e7, knight to d2, and I think this bishop g5 is available for black now. So we have queen b6, and then we have knight to b3, queen bishop. Actually g5 was not the best move because f4 can come with the tempo then, and rook can come to f3, and just we can swing the rook to the h3 and g3. So bishop g5 was not the best move. Knight to b3 and queen to d8, and pawn to f4, queen to b6, knight to c5. Now this knight would be a happy piece on the board, a very nice squares for him to occupy and just make sure that all the critical squares are attacked by this knight. Okay, so castles, and then we have rook to d1, pawn to a5, knight to d7, and that fork actually I think this was available on the previous move as well. Yeah, but after castles, rook, yeah, okay. So the reason is that if we play knight d7 now, then there is a move of queen takes d4 available, which will not save the exchange over here with knight takes d7, but it will actually give some chances for white to some chances for black to actually get this pawn on d4 and try to attack the center, get this passer. So just to avoid that, we played rook d1 first. Imposter again chess actually. So rook d1 was played first, then pawn to a5 and knight d7 now, giving a 4, queen a6, and then we have knight takes f8, king takes f8, and knight to a2. Then we have pawn takes, knight takes, and knight takes b4, rook takes c8, queen takes c8, pawn takes, and bishop takes. So exchange is gone, but we have this extra pawn, which I think is not going to survive much. If white plays correctly, he will be able to capture that pawn. Rook to c1, attacking the queen, queen to a6, and we have king to f2. Interesting. So pawn to g6 and king to f3, queen to a5. Now the threat over here is to play this bishop to d4 square and get this double attack on both the pieces. Queen to b3, and then we have bishop to e1. That is interesting because this, yeah, this is not. Yeah, I think queen d2 is the next threat here, probably. Queen d2 idea of queen f2, but queen e3 can save the game after queen d2. So probably, I'm not sure why this bishop e1 is played, but let's check what happened in the game. So queen to b2 was played, bishop come back to b4, then rook to b1, and now bishop a3, queen to b. Okay, so why not queen to queen takes b5 here? Okay, what if queen takes b5? Then black has chance of giving this check, queen c3 check, and if king moves anywhere, black can just capture this pawn on d4 again. Okay, then the f4 is hanging, and then black would get some chances. Of course, queen b8 check is available, but that king g7 is okay. There is nothing to be afraid of for black here. So we have queen to b3 and pawn to b4, queen to c2, queen to b5, and queen c5 check, queen takes, pawn takes, and finally a passer for white out there. So king e3, and now king to d7, king d4, king to c3, and I think it's going to be a zugzwang position wherein black would be forced to play this move soon after these pawns are locked. Okay, and then probably I think there would be some kind of forcing move for black which will help white to win. So let's check what happens in the game. So pawn to g4, pawn to h5, pawn takes, and pawn to h3, pawn to f4, h4, and now we have rook to b3. But I think this is still playable. Rook bishop to c1. Oh, king to b5. Interesting. So just making sure that this pawn is hold on. Black just holds on to this pawn very nicely, and now we have pawn to f5, king c6, and pawn takes, and rook comes back. Now rook has this another option of just going to this f6, ff1, and this route is there for white just to get this pawn. So king to b5, rook to b3. Oh, black won the game on time, I think, but I think yeah, there was a winning move there. So pawn takes, and rook to b1 was played. So here actually, can we just play rook to f1? Okay, what can happen? King can come to a4 square, king can then come to d3, or if king comes to a4, then we have this pawn c6 move, which is I think not stoppable then. So king a4 is not possible because of pawn c6. So if rook f1, what will black play? That's the big question here. Probably bishop to b2 check can be played so that this king is attacked. If king moves, then king can capture the c pawn, and then this bishop can capture the e5. So rook cannot leave this b file immediately right now. Okay, so rook b3 was played. That's not a bad move. To continue, king to c6, and then we have again a repetition of the moves and a sacrifice on b3. Rook takes pawn, bishop takes c5, and then we have king to d3, bishop to b6, and rook c3 check, king to d7, rook to b3, bishop to c7, and rook to c b7, king to c6, rook to a7, and I think this pawn should not have been given actually. If we just go back few moves, there should have been some other strategy by white out there. Probably a move like rook to b4, attacking this h4 pawn. Pawn d4 if placed, then we can play just play king to e5, e4, and try to get the critical squares here. Okay, so I think after losing this e5 pawn, the tables turned out there, and suddenly I think black is having the winning chances, and here white ran out of time. So let's go back to a tournament. Last 35 minutes remaining in the battle out there. So let's try to pick up a game now from okay. Let's check the next page here. Team Spain. We have Shubham Soni playing now. Let's check Shubham's game out there. Shubham Soni is, oh, he's playing with an FM out there. So that's a nice battle which is going on, and the position is equal. Let's hang on to the live position currently. Pawn to b5. So Shubham Soni is playing from black pieces. He is from Khelo Chess India team, and we have FM coach Roel Abelgas from Philippines, 25 rated player, 2500 rating player, and knight c4 check. So there should be some move with by the I think pawn takes has to be played so that yeah. So now king d6. Pawn a5, interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting move because now these are the targets for white. So pawn takes, bishop takes has to be played now. And we have knight b7 check and knight takes a5. D5, knight takes a5. And e4 check I think is coming now. Oh, the c4 pawn is given free now. C4 pawn is what black is sacrificing. And if this pawn falls on c4, then it will be difficult for, I think it's winning for white now. It's straight away winning for white. So this is a trap. If king takes, then we have knight d6 check and knight takes b5. And now this, I think, yeah, creating a passer here. This passer will be easy to push now because of this knight v6 and then pawn push move. Yep. King takes pawn has to be played here. Pawn d7, bishop takes d7, knight takes d7, king takes g3. And then we have this b4, b5 pawn coming, and knight e5 will just try to hold on to this f3 square. Yeah, this pawn is going to queen fast now as compared to this g6 pawn. Knight takes pawn, king takes pawn, and so we have 1, 2, 3, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So two moves is what black is behind, and this is a winning for black now. This is a very nice winning technique. So those players who don't know how to win against the single pawn, when you have a queen, this is a nice example. So Mayank, I can see your comment. You're planning to organize a World Team Battle Weekly that we already have, Mayank, every Saturday. This is the fourth Saturday that we are playing in continuously. So that's the win for white, but a very good, nice fight by Shubham Soni out there. So a cheers to Shubham Soni for fighting it out against a 2500 rated player. A very nice battle between these two players. And thanks Shubham for playing for India and for our team Khelo Chess India. You bring a very good quality to our team. Let's check what is next. Which game we can pick up next. Let's try to pick up Omkar Chakradev's game. Chakradev is here from Khelo Chess India. And let's check his game, what happened in the opening. Right now, I think he blue cow is playing from black pieces and he's two piece up. So probably this is in favor of black now. Interesting live position, guys. So black is about to queen here and white has nothing but to play king to d6. So right now this is not the best position for, I think it's yeah, king here is the only move and this should be winning for black now. Okay, let's check what happened in the opening. d4, knight f6, and then we have knight f3, pawn e6, bishop f4, pawn to d5. This is a London system, guys. London system as something that is famous nowadays. A lot of players are trying to play London system out there and just try to get a solid position from white side to, let's try to go to the opening again. So London system just helps you to build up your uh, opening in the very stable way without much of the problems out there. And then we have this knight e5, pawn c5, pawn c3, queen c7, knight d2, knight d7, knight takes d7, bishop takes d7, and bishop to g3. Then we have castles, bishop d3, rook to c8, castles, and bishop takes g3, h takes g3. And this is actually a nice position wherein black has this option of just pushing the pawns on the queen side and getting some play on the queen side. If the pawns are exchanged here, then white would be happy to exchange with the e pawn. And then, of course, white black has to push the pawn to b4, try to exchange on c3, and try to attack in the c file this weak pawn on the c3 square. That is the plan there. So knight f3 was played, pawn to c4, bishop to c2, pawn to a5, knight to e5, pawn to b4, and we have pawn to g4, bishop to c6, pawn to g5, knight to d7, queen to h5. Did we have bishop takes h7? Yeah, bishop h7, king h7, queen h7, and there is sorry, queen h5, and then queen h5 check, king goes to h7, and we don't have this g6 move coming right away because of f takes g6, knight takes g6, and then I think black is okay after that. Not the best, but survivable for black. We still have this knight e7 check and knight takes c8. If rook f7 or knight moves is not played, then we have this knight g6 and knight d7 after this bishop takes h7. So it would be interesting to see that as well. But right now we have queen h5, then we have pawn to g6, knight takes g6, sacrifice here. Pawn takes bishop takes g6, pawn takes g6, and queen takes g6. So a sacrifice by white here to in order to get a win. So queen check, queen e6 check, queen check, and pawn to f4. Idea is correct here, just to put the knight on sorry, rook on f3 and get it to the h3 square. So it would be interesting to see how black defended this one. So knight to b6, we have rook f3, queen g7. That's the correct move, guys, to defend, because now rook h3 check, king can just hide behind this queen out there, and then probably it is not the best position for white. So rook check, rook king to g8, and queen to e6, queen to f7, and then we have queen g4 coming back. So guys, just to learn a new technique out there. Okay, so whenever you have, when your king is trapped out there in the h8 in the corner of the board, the queen is controlling the file, and this rook is just threatening to come to f3 and h3 and deliver a mate on this h8 square. You can use this technique of just moving the knight away or any other piece. You can try to control the 7th rank with the queen, and at the right moment when the knight is moved, you can put your queen on g7 and defend everything. So there is nothing actually that white could do after queen g7. So this is a very nice defending technique that you should learn from this game. Make sure that you just note it down, and sometime in your game in the future you can use this, definitely 100%. So knight b6, rook f3, queen to g7, rook to h3, queen to g8, and now queen to e6, queen to f7, queen comes to g4, and bishop to d7. That would break white's confidence because this rook is hanging then. Okay, but it was a nice attacking game by white out there. It was not a simple game. It was a very attacking and aggressive game by white, and that's what makes chess interesting. Players like Omkar, they are very aggressive players, and they generally contribute to make the game very interesting. So that's what we that this all we saw in the live position, and then the game was lost. So a very nice game between both the players. This game teaches us how to play against the London system. First point. Second point, how to defend in case your king is locked out on the h8 or the corner of the board, and then there is a mate. There is a defense from second rank, like the queen was played to g7. That is something that you can learn from the game. So let's go back now, how the next game on the plate for us. So we have not my rook, then okay, let's check who all are playing from Khelo Chess India. Right now, the Khelo Chess India is also performing well, third place right now, just behind the team Spain. There is a difference is huge, but anything can happen in last 25 minutes. So who all are playing? King Nilesh is playing from Khelo Chess India. Let's try to check his game. So King Nilesh is playing against Necroscope, and let's check what happened in the opening. So Necroscope is from English chess players, and King Nilesh is from Khelo Chess India. Knight f3, g6, knight to f6, bishop g2, bishop g7, castles, and rook to e1, pawn to d5, pawn to d3, pawn to c5, pawn to a3, knight to c6, pawn to b4, and pawn takes b4, pawn takes b4, and knight takes b4, bishop to a3. So this is kind of, I just remember whenever this b5 and a3 are sacrificed and this bishop comes to e3, it always reminds me of the beautiful Benko gambit that black can play against the d4 move. And you can prepare that. In that you have the same setup. Actually, I think this white player is a very good Benko player, Benko gambit player, and he is using the same technique from white side to win against the black here. So bishop is fianchetted on g2. It's pointing towards this a 8 square. Then we have the open a file, we have the open b file, wherein everything will come in from white side and try to attack this queen side. Let's check what happened in the game. Knight c6 was played, pawn to c3, rook to e8, knight to d2, and pawn to e5, knight to b3, and when they have then we have bishop to f5. So white won the game, but we have to check what happened in the game. So let's quickly fast forward to the position that we were in. Yeah, we were here. Pawn to e5, knight to b3, bishop to f5, knight to h4, bishop to d e6, knight to c5. Now this move is very critical. This knight maneuver actually, knight d2 b3 and then coming to c5 and attacking the e6 and b7 squares. This is very nice actually. This maneuver that is something that you should learn in the game. So pawn to d4, then pawn to c5, and now knight to d7. So this is a similar position, guys. So yeah, look here now. This move, the b7 is hanging here. So bishop probably should have been brought back here to support the b7 as well as to save this bishop from getting exchanged. But anyhow, this knight is now beautifully placed, which is unchallengeable. And just to challenge that knight, knight d7 was played, but b7 was hanging, and now queen c7. Now where will the knight go? So we have rook to b1 supporting the knight, and rook to b8, bishop to d6. A very nice move. Look at this move, guys. Bishop d6. It's something that black has missed, and probably he is going to lose the exchange after this. So queen to d8 and knight takes d8. I think. Oh, is it a miss from white? Is it a miss from a bishop takes and knight takes and okay, no, it's not a miss, but actually black has blundered his queen here. So that's not how you should play if you are playing from the black side in this game, guys. So this move. So if you're trying to play this setup from black side, okay, now I'm just trying to concentrate from black side what's happening. Probably here, black is a King's Indian player, or a Grunfeld player. You can see the g6 here, g6 bishop g7 knight f3. This pattern we can see in the Grunfeld players games, Grunfeld or King's Indian or even Dragon players. So when you play in that fashion, you are generally trained. As a Dragon player, I know that I have to play on the queen side. As a King's Indian player, I know I have to play f5 sometime, f5 c6, or even try to get some play on the king queen side by playing a5 knight a6 also. As a Grunfeld player also, I know that as you have to attack the center as much as possible. So it becomes a conflict of your knowledge versus what the position demands here. So position demand was that to play the pawns on f5 e5, but for some reason actually black went for this kind of setup, and then he ended up on the uh, benko gambit style play. So just let me show you what happened here. So whenever this a3 is uh, okay, so a3 and b4. So if the pawn is on b4 and if you are allowed to capture the a3 pawn, you can just deny this gambit by playing pawn to b3. Okay, that is some play. That's some move actually which the Bangkok Gambit players probably don't like because they like both the open files here, A and B files. That's from Black's point of view. Let's go back now for the tournament. And so we have a comment from Mayank here. Mayank is seeing the water in the Lonar Lake has turned pink. Okay, Mayank. That's recent news. And we have a dead shot saying GM Bobby Fischer, real name Spurs Yadav. Hey, yes, that short I have spoken with JM Bobby Fischer in the chat. So good to hear from all of you guys. And let's try to pick up the next game. We have next game from Shrihan Sabat. Shrihan Sabat is also playing from Khelo Chess India, and right now he's playing against a player from Spain, and he's rated 1911. So I think the game has not yet begun. Yeah, the G3 has been played. So we are going to get a live game here, guys. And then pawn to c5. Yeah, so white is going for a quiet setup here with a fianchetto. Probably he'll convert this into a Catalan like structure or Catalan attack. And black is trying to play a reverse King's Indian. Yes, it's a reverse King's Indian. Pawn to b3, pawn to c4 will be played now. Bishop b2 and pawn to c4. So it's like a reverse King's Indian defense. So King's Indian attack, we can say, from white side. And knight to d2. So generally in this kind of structures, black has to play on the queen side here as much as possible. Just try to get the pawn on c5 and get the open files on the c file and b file and try to attack the queen side. At the same time, this white can go knight h5, f5, f4, 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 f5, and try to attack the king side. So this knight can also go to e8 now, e1 now, and try to play f4 and f5. Yep. Okay, so pawn to b5, knight takes d6, and now queen takes d6. I think still white has this beautiful plan of knight d2 and f4, or even knight e1 and f4. So that I think has to be played in this setup, or else this bishop h3 is now available actually to just to control this c8 square. Knight b4 is available, yeah. So bishop h3 should have been played now, because this the file control of this file remains in white's hands if bishop h3 is played before. Bishop a3 now. I think a5 is compulsory. So black can get a double pawns on this b file now, but how is white going to exploit it? First, probably we'll need a move like rook c1. Oh, knight takes e5. If queen takes e5, it's a free knight. It's simply a free knight. Why would white give away his knight in this way? He should have played knight to e1 or knight to d2 and just try to play f5, f4. That would have been a better way to play. But anyways, black I think should win this one very easily now, because there is nothing to be worried about. Black is piece up, knight g4 and knight to there is a okay pawn a4 and pawn takes might create some chances of back rank weakness, but I think knight to g4 and knight to e5 is actually a good way to control all the critical squares then, from where the knight can have a very good impact. Yeah, so knight went to d7, probably from d7 it will try to go to d4. And now I think black is worried now about this pawn. So that should not have been allowed, because now bishop is a strong piece on this e8 square. Bishop e6 has to be played. Knight c5 should come soon now. Knight c5, knight a6, or knight takes d3, or even knight b3 is available just to attack this a5 pawn. So bishop to c6. Yeah. So this should be winning for black. Just now, little care from black, and I think the game would be done very soon. King, yeah, king can now. So rook could have given check from him, but rook had to save this pawn as well. Hence, it went to c5. And here I think rook is passive rook again, because it's just used for defense and there is no attack whatsoever. There are no threats. Probably king can just try to march over here and try to capture the pawn. But even that I think can be stopped by just playing this bishop e8 and stopping the king. Then king cannot come to this. Uh, okay, it was a draw. Okay, black offers a draw and it was accepted. Why would black offer a draw? This is a winning game for black. So Shriyan support, you should have continued the game. You should have played for the win here. It is an easy win for you. Not easy, but it's a hard fought win for you, because now I can see a hi from Rancho. Hi Rancho, how are you? Hope you are doing well, safe and sound at your home. Okay, so this was actually playable. It should not have been called a draw, at least. I think, of course, there's no clear plan from black, but I think he should have tried this bishop c6, bishop to d5, and then probably bringing the rook to c. Even now, actually, you can play rook to c6, and then the rook is actually forced to exchange here. If rook exchange, bishop exchanges, and bishop is controlling the a8 square, this pawn can never queen. The only thing is that this so bishop has to go to this b5 square to attack the d3 and control the a6 square, while the king holds this e6 pawn, and then probably from d4 uh, d5. Okay, Rancho, just try to press the bell icon. I think you should be able to get all the notifications. If the bell icon is disabled for you, for to get the notifications from the channel, you can just unsubscribe and subscribe again, and then the bell notification will be enabled for you. Then you can click on the bell notification and you will always get the notifications whenever we come online or whenever we publish our video. Okay, Rancho, just try that and let me know if it works for you. And then we have this game was actually playable. This rook to c6 was the winning move probably for black. So Shriyan Sabha, just an advice for you, should have played rook c6, and you can just analyze and let me know if this is not working for you. Let's go back to tournament. Last 13 minutes in the game, guys. And okay, thanks Ganesh, you played very well. Okay, and then we have we saw King Nilesh game, we saw Shubham Soni's game, we saw Ganesh Chess games, Shriyan's game we saw. We haven't seen Mohit's game. Let's check what is Mohit doing out there. So Mohit had another game. He had beaten one of the good players. Let's check this game, guys. So this game is okay. So there was no moves played here. Okay, let's try to play a game now. Okay, let me try to play a game. I might not be the in the right phase now, right, to play. Oh, okay, I got the game e4 c5. Let's try to play our favorite Sicilian defense now, and it's a Mora gambit. So this gambit you can accept or you can just push the pawn, and then knight to c6, and then we'll try to play pawn to e6, pawn to d6, and just try to do a simple castling here. So Mayank, I can see your comment. Who is the guest right now? We were not able to arrange a guest for today. But if anyone on the viewers side you would like to come on the live show, you can join us on today's Khelo Chess India Lichess team battle. So if all the viewers out there, if you want to join for the live commentary, you can just join us. We can have a small discussion about your chess life, your chess career, and your best chess moments in your life. A general a general idea behind however how you started chess and what was your motivation. We can have a basic chat over there, so you can join our team. So right now I'm just playing a simple game from black side, not playing any aggressive moves, just trying to develop the pieces and just trying to put the pieces on the right squares so that I can go for the d5 break after some time. So f5 has been played here, so let me just push the pawn because I don't want this f takes e6 coming here very soon, and having a weak pawn on e6. Of course, f5 now creates some bishop takes h6 like threats, but this pawn structure is actually fixed now, so this bishop becomes ineffective unless it is able to play pawn c4, and bishop takes c4 is available for this bishop. So it's a nice game, nicely poised, and from black side now the ideas are to try to put more pressure on this e4 pawn. Right now it's well defended. Pawn d5 is something that you can try now. Just try to put the rook in the open file now. Just try to play d5 here, and yeah, so d5 I think is going to be a good one because if e takes d5, rook takes d5, I have this open diagonal for the bishop. Yeah, now the g4, g5 will be played, so I have to counter attack in the center. Pawn takes, I think bishop takes will be played soon. And now let's try to capture the pawn here. I think bishop f6 is okay, knight takes. Now this bishop is hanging, so we would have a move like, yeah, bishop takes e7 would come first. We can play knight g3 now, and knight g3, then queen would probably go to the g2 square. So knight g3, queen g2 will try to attack this knight. Then if we play knight takes f1, then bishop can come to f6, and there would be a mating threat on this g7 square. So we have to take care of all these points out there, and just try to capture this bishop first. Okay, now this knight would be captured, and after the knight is captured, we have a couple of moves out there. We have this queen g5 move. Then we have the queen c5 move as well. We have rook takes rook available, and yeah, I think we should first exchange of the rooks. This knight should have been on d7 actually, not on c6. If it would have been on d7, then it could have gone to b6, it could have gone to c5, to f6, and f8 also in the worst case. Yeah. So right now, actually, it's difficult to make the move, but let's try to play. Let's try to exchange off the. But if we exchange the rooks, another rook. Okay, let's try to play this check first. Okay, let's try to just get this. Uh, let's try to create some tactics here. So king would probably now go to h2 square. Queen g2, interesting move. Let's try to exchange off the rooks, queens now, so that we can have a safer opening, safer end game. Because this f5 is a long-term weakness. If we are able to get hold of this f5 square, then it would be difficult for white to play then. Okay, pawn to f6 is something which is coming, and no. Rook takes, and pawn to f6, pawn takes, king takes, and yeah, a6 pawn is hanging. So what I'm thinking about here is, if I play knight a5, it would be bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, rook takes rook, and then pawn to f6. If we play g takes f6, rook takes f6 can be played. After rook takes f6, king g7 can be played, but then this a6 pawn is hanging, guys. So that is a problem in the position. So let's try to play f6 first, not allow white's f6. Let's fix this pawn. This is a weakness. Let's try to fix it. Bishop d5 check is available, so knight now comes into the game, and let's try to exchange off the bishops. Should we? Yes, let's try to exchange off the bishops first. I think knight d5 will be played now, threatening this knight e7. Okay, so king moves closer now, and let's try to exchange the bishops. Yep, and try to bring our king closer now. Knight d5 is available, and knight d5 would allow me to play knight c4 and bring the knight to d6, attacking this f5 pawn. So a right move here. So I have to play knight b7 back now, so that this knight can jump to c5 square or to this d6 square, and then try to put some pressure on this f5 and the c4 squares out there. Okay, so b4 was played, and now I think I should play this first rook to c8, so that I can attack this c3 pawn. So rook takes rook was expected, rook takes rook, and I think rook to d1 will be played now. So I think I can capture this rook d1, and I have this beautiful move knight to d6, which will capture, let me capture this f5 pawn. Yeah, but the king has entry here. Okay, so let's try to push the pawn. Okay, pawn push, king takes a6. Oh, a sacrifice there. Now, how many moves does white have? One move, two, three, four, five, six. And we have one, two, three, four, five. Let's go for the queen. Okay, so you have to quickly carry, not carry, but you have to quickly calculate the moves to queen here. Who is going to queen first? And then probably you can just go for your plan. Okay, so all the viewers out there, we are going to start the Khelo Chess India live battle very soon. And I'm just trying to share the 70th Khelo Chess India Lichess team battle is going to be starting soon. On to f2, and then we have this queen, and then probably we can just give this check. King moves, and then we have this beautiful queen b5 check, and white resign. Let's go back to tournament. So I have to share the Khelo Chess India's details. So just give me 2 minutes, guys. Meanwhile, I'll just put on a beautiful game which is going on between two of the best players. You can check this game. Okay, just give me a minute, guys. I'll be back. I can see a game from I can see a comment from Aditya saying the okay, so that game is done actually. Let's check the next game. Okay, I'm playing a game. Where am I playing? Okay, playing game here. Okay, d4, d5, knight f3. Thanks Aditya for the comments, for the compliments, and we can just attack this bishop. I'm just trying to set up the stream for the next tournament. That is the Lichess team battle that we have with Khelo Chess India. So yeah, 9:30 the time has been set, and bishop goes back to its square. Let's try to play f4 now and try to gain more space. I have to set up it for 9:40 because 9:40 or 45. Okay, I'll set up for 9:45. It will give me 10 minutes to just freshen up and quickly come back and then again start playing. Yes, thanks Mayank for the compliments as well. So I hope Aditya and Mayank you are playing the next team battle. If you are listening to the commentary right now, let me quickly set up the stream, guys. Sorry guys. My attention is divided between three important tasks right now: playing the game, setting up the stream for the next live water battle, as well as doing the commentary. So just forgive me if I'm not at my best. Pawn to e6, and now I think we can just put some pressure on this knight. Let's try to play queen b3 first, try to attack this b7 square, which is now hanging because this bishop has moved out, so there is no one to save this. Now queen c8 has been played to save this pawn, but we have here a move like no, we cannot play this move, but let's try to play bishop d2 so that this rook can now come to c1 and try to attack this queen somehow. Okay, so Mayank is telling me, sir, please analyze my games. Okay, Mayank, we'll try to do that. And now let's try to put the rook on c1 so that we can get some attack out there. Okay, so the stream has been set. Okay, castles has been played, and then we can now play knight to b4, attack this bishop and this knight at the same time. We can also play bishop d3 now, challenge this bishop, a deadly bishop on this f5 square. e3 is probably, I'm expecting this a3 move. Oh, bishop takes t3, queen takes t3, and now we have this light square bishop, which was good piece from black's camp as well as from my camp. It's out of the board now. Then we are left with these two bishops, and apparently black's dark square bishop is better than my dark square bishop because this bishop is just blocked by its own pawns. So this bishop is not going to be the best one for me. So I think knight b4 is now expected. So my knight has to go, queen has to go back to b1 now, and then probably I can castle and put the rook on f3 and try to put the rook on. Yeah, knight b4 has been placed as expected. So queen now goes to b1, and black has to take care because now knight takes d5 is on because of this rook to, yeah. So knight goes back, and now I can castle. This gives me some space now just to put a rook on f3 and get it on h3 and try to attack this at 7 square. With the help of this queen, I can deliver a mate here. So this knight is going to be the only difficulty which can be handled by playing. So knight has now played to d7, probably trying to push the pawn here. Let me put the rook on f3 so that this can now go to the h3 square. Probably f6 or f5 will be played now. In that case, probably I have to just take this route of queen to d3, queen to e2, queen to f2, and then bring back queen to, not to h4 because the bishop is there on e7. So queen d3, queen to e2, and queen h5. Rook will be on h3, and then I can deliver this check and mate. Okay, so Lichess team battle has started, guys. So all the viewers out there or all the players out there, you can just join the team battle. We'll be starting the live broadcast very soon. And today I was not able to send out the message for the checking of the teams, so apologies for that. Let me just quickly finish this game, and then probably we can switch back to the Khelo Chess India's live stream battle. So okay, queen can come to e2 now. Probably we should just hop on to the next. We should just hop on to the next one. Okay, so if I'm commentating and the live broadcast is on, I'm not able to schedule the next one. Okay, that's fair enough. B3 has to be played. Now bishop E3 is playable. Rook will be now, then it will be swung to the. Okay, so rook C8, and then we have. Let's try to play G4 now. Try to go for some attack. Knight D4 is available. E takes D4, Queen takes D4, and then probably this queen might get some good attack on those squares. So yeah, knight takes. I think this is what I missed actually in a hurry. Okay, so probably that will not allow me to win this game. That was a blunder from my side. Let me just try to play now king h1 and rook to g1. Bishop b4 is something that is coming hard onto me right now. Yeah, queen moves to a5, and now I think it would be a struggle for me. Knight, okay, knight d5, knight e4. This knight until this knight is actually very well placed right now. I cannot beat this knight. So let's try to. I'll just try to resign this game, and we have to start with the next streaming, guys. And I would just like to wish. So these are the winners. English chess players have finished today on top with 253 points. Then we have Team Spain on second place with 174 points. We have Philippines team on 161. Then we have Khelo Chess India, a very good performance from Khelo Chess India. And King Nilesh, thanks to you for leading from the team. And then we have Chess Talent in Pakistan on fifth position, Sri Lanka on sixth, seventh. We have Iran. I think this is an Iranian team that plays regularly. And then we have Russian chess players. This three teams not participating and playing well. So thanks, Akil. Just thanks to you for organizing. And just you can subscribe to the channel, guys. All those who are watching right now, or all those who are new to the channel, just this is a news for all of you. Just you can subscribe and you will be able to play Lichess stream battles every day. Okay, so that's all from this broadcast. We will start the second broadcast very soon in 10 minutes. We have to play Khelo Chess India's Lichess team battle. So bye bye and take care. We will be meeting back in around 10 minutes.